one. Do you and your wife really call each other Brad and Cameron?
No, she has other words for me, but it's not Brad. Pain in the ass is one of them. No, she has many names for me, none of them are Brad Pitt. The world premiere in Toronto, I was asked if I'm really as much of a klutz in my life as Fred Newton. I just feel I'm worse. I had one bike accident where I was, and this is all in the book, but where I was coming down a cycle track on a cheap racer with those old-fashioned jagged pedals.
Oh yeah.
And had a head-on collision with a steel mountain bike. No contest. My bike just crumpled up and I came down on top of the pedals. I was looking at my hands because I grazed my hands as I came off the bike, and somebody said, well, I passed by and said, I think you better look at your leg. And I pulled up my trouser leg, the trouser leg, and there's blood everywhere. And I'm not squeamish, I've had so many accidents, so I'm not buying the blood. But I got to the hospital and wheeled into an ambulance and got to the hospital, and the doctor said, well, there's a silver lining to this cloud. I said, what's that? And she said, you won't have to get into the queue for x-ray. And she gave me about 10 injections of local anaesthetic and then put her whole hand into my knee. I'd literally cut the tendons. I'd literally cut the tendons right the way across the tendons and the, I forget what they call them, I'm terrible at names. But I'd literally cut my knee in half, and she was able to have a good feel about it. And it made no difference to me, there's blood everywhere, but I've had so many accidents, I just grown used to the sight of my own blood.
Simon Cowell seems like a very, very intimidating person. What is it like to work with him?
I think he appears more intimidating than he really is. I think it's, in some ways, I think people think of him how he was in American Idol. I think he tends to be different on British Got Talent. It's a bit more sensitive. But he does tell things as they are, but I think in the industry you need more people like that than having people tell you how fantastic you are, because that's in many ways can be meaningless. It doesn't help you. It's great at being flattered, it's great at boosting your confidence from time to time, but it doesn't help you further your career. I think sometimes you do need somebody being realistic.
Who's going to tell you the truth, 100%.
Yeah. So many people will tell you something that they feel, but it's not necessarily what's true.
A bit more serious. Bullying is one of the main focuses of the film. What advice would you give to parents whose children are victims of bullying?
There needs to be proper support for people to be able to talk about it, and that's where parents can help. But often a child being seriously bullied won't go to the parents because they feel that they're worthless to do it, and they don't want to give that away to their parents. So it's really hard.
And the character in the movie, that main character that was the childhood bully, was he an actual person? Or did he just was he a characterization of all the bullying?
I think he was a couple of different characters. I mean, there were ringleaders amongst them. I won't name them, but there were ringleaders amongst them, and there were, like I say, somebody attempted to throw me through a window at one point. I managed to pull away, but then I caught my head on an open window, and so I've got lots of scars on my head from being clumsy as well as being bullied. And I mean, I just pretended to a teacher that I just walked into it, and because that was the easier way of dealing with it than actually reporting it, because the bully was there acting like he stood there like he was a concerned bystander, just to make sure that I didn't tell on him. I had any responses to the movie, but I mean, years and years ago, 10, 11 years ago, I did have one bully come to me and apologise.
Oh, wow.
And I've had one or two come forward since Britain's Got Talent, and asked for forgiveness. And my reaction was just to say, well, there's nothing to forgive. What's in the past is in the past. You can't go back and make it better, but you You can't change what's done. And sometimes it's been suggested to me that I've had the ultimate revenge, but I'm not sure that's right. I mean, I don't believe in revenge. Revenge is never sweet. You know, people will talk about revenge being sweet. It's not. The only thing that revenge creates is bitterness. Well, my dad was, you know, I mean, I come from quite a traditional family with, you know, the father's always seen as the man in charge, but the man's only in charge because the wife allows him to be. Allows him to think he is. It's not. He's not actually in charge. The father figure is always like they're in charge, but not really. My mum, Julie Walters did an incredible job of playing my mum. She looked like her as well. And,
she was brilliant.
She did a great
and
job.
very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, she came up to me when they were filming the wedding scene, and she said, "I hope I've done a good job." So, because there's been nothing to compare it to. So I said, you look the absolute spit of her. And she did a great job, and you know, that attitude. And my mum didn't have quite as much attitude as that, but my mum was that you know, that constant support, and you know, just there, and everybody needs that in their lives. Message is exactly the same, and that is that you get to where you want to be by keeping going, and you keep going partly because of your own determination and perseverance, but also because of the support of the people around you. You never do it just by yourself, but if you just keep going, you will get to where you want to be. I know that Forrest Gump once said that life's like a box of chocolates. It's not. You don't get a guide to what chocolates you get, which you do with most boxes of chocolates. I think, and I've often been asked whether I believe in fate. I kind of do, but I kind of don't. I think that you're given the ingredients, but I think it's up to you. It's like baking a cake. You can be given the perfect ingredients, but you're not given the recipe method. It's up to you to mix it in the best way you can, to bake it as best as you can.
One word of encouragement that you would give to aspiring, or not aspiring, talented musicians who have got it, but who just are waiting for that break?
I've been asked many times about other talent show contestants, and said, well, they're not successful anymore. I don't define it by how regular they're seen in the media. I define it on the basis of, are they doing what they love doing? Are they still doing what they love doing? If so, then they're successful. But to me, that is the ultimate definition of success. If you do what you love, then you are successful, because everybody wants to live their dream. And if you're living your dream, no matter what level it's at, no, you're living your dream.
One of our Twitter followers, Mr. Gatt, would like to know, when will you be performing in South Africa?